Hi guys, welcome back to the Delaware Studios. Let's create an order mockup, basically a tea order application, whereby we're going to integrate Espresso later on for testing. And this application is be focused on a good user experience. It's actually going to have a grid layout in the launcher, whereby we're going to have different tea flavors, and the user will have the ability to select any of the grids, and it's going to be forwarded to a customized page whereby you can customize the flavor, probably add more features, and after that, after being satisfied with what you have, you're going to be charged. You have your bills, which will be visible to you, and you can share to any of your friends, probably on WhatsApp or via email, that you've just ordered a particular flavor of tea. This is a mockup which can be extensible to different aspects. Probably you run a restaurant, you run a pizza outlet, or you you sell food. This can actually be useful. So let's head straight to the structure of the application. We'll be using visible for testing and some other annotation like the null label, which denotes that a parameter field or method can return value be null. And we'll be using the visible for testing that denotes that the class, method, or field must have its visibility relaxed so that it is more widely visible than otherwise necessary to make code testable. So these are different annotations we'll be using. This is an advanced aspect of Android, and I will be heading straight down to Android Studio, where we have the source of this particular application. From the dependencies, we will be looking at the app compact, the design view, the support annotations, and even the Google Play Services app indexing and Espresso handling resource. These are all dependencies that were used in this particular demo. And let's look at our rest, which is the layouts. We're going to have the activity menu, the activity order, the order summary, and the grid item layout. These are all well structured, where we have the menu of the application. This is the grid layout. This is the launcher of the application, where the user can select from different picture of tea flavor. So this actually ties up to the item layout as well, which will have each grid as an item. So that's just what the structure is. The layout files are all understandable. We've been going through all these from previous tutorials, so you should understand how this works. And let's have the order. This is actually the customized, or let's say the customizations activity, whereby you have the size. These are all populated using Spinner, and the make choices. You can add sugar. Even you can select quantity. You can add up like you want 3 quantities. So the total of all your expenses will be calculated as well using this layout. So this is the activity order layout, and we have the summary page of the order, telling us the quantity of tea you're ordering, the amount of sugar you added, the size, the quantity. A lot of details you've actually added up during the course of making the order. And you will also have the ability to send email to your user. This is basically a share, but this focused on email, so you can decide to use a share icon, to call other calling intents to push these details to them, that you've just ordered a tea, or you've just ordered a particular dessert of pizza, or you've just ordered a particular delicacy. So this is just how the structure of the application is. We have the values, whereby we play around using few colors, and the dimensions as well, where we have the layouts, the horizontal margin, vertical, and also the default gap. We have the strings. We had coded a lot of things right here. This can be extensible, probably using cloud service, push them out of here and get them called using different kind of libraries. Only you can use retrofit to call them, or you can use your async tags as well to do a background call to each one of them. So we use string arrays. That is for the spinner. You can decide to add the spinner to your SQLite database if you want to do so that it's just calling it. Since there might be some static things that you'll be using throughout the course of the order. You can also have them saved in the string XML. We have our styles. XML whereby we talk about the horizontal divider, and we call the style for the header text and for the options. When we're selecting your options using the spinner, we have the base application theme, which is the light. This is just by default, and we have the toolbar. That's the upper toolbar of the app, and we have other dividers I've talked about. So that's just the general overview of the layout of this application. And basically, the Java classes, I will be showing you a lot of things we actually did here when we use the annotation, when we use the adapter to populate the grid, and so on. So we're going to be focusing more on the activity of this application. So I will be showing you little snippets side by side as I'm flowing with the tutorial. So I'm actually going to be creating different classes. In here, we'll have image downloader, other activity, other summary activity, the T menu adapter. So follow along with how I'm going to create those classes. First Java class we'll be adding here will be the image downloader. Downloader. Let's add up other activity. The summary. And menu adapter. That's for the recycler view. That's fine. And we'll be having some sub packages. We only have two for the idling resource and for the model. Let's have for the idling resource. Oh, there's a class. We need a sub package. We're going to have the model, which is actually basically the set and get. That's fine. Right there in the model, we have a class called the T. And in the idling resource, we have called simple idling resource. That's fine. Very cool. So we're going to be starting with the image downloader. Since we're going to be calling images from the drawable, we have some drawables images. That's the different tea pictures that we'll be using: the green tea, the onion tea, lemon, the white, and so on. So these are the pictures that we'll be using in the course of this downloader. So let's have our image downloader set up. So we're going to actually have a class. Let's create a field of the downloader. This is static. Integer. Let's delay in millis. Millisecond. It's like 3 seconds. And let's create the array list of the T's. We have that as final static array list. Part of the T as the generic class, which you get to create. Write that as a model, or get to create the structures around it. T's. Let's associate with the new array list. Now let's have our interface for the delay callback. array lists. Teas. Fine. We're going to have the method which is meant to simulate the downloading a large email file which has a download time delay, and this could be similar to downloading an image from the internet. So we're going to have those structures set in place. So for simplicity, we'll be in a real situation. The image is actually going to be in the drawable. It is actually going to be calling from probably the cloud, but now we have it in the drawable. So we're going to like simulate downloading from the internet. So that's just what we're doing here. Static void. Let's have a method called download image. Get a context. Now the delay, just like a sort of slight delay, like 30 seconds. So this normally should be a call from the cloud. And now we'll first of all use our first annotation at nullable. It's going to return null. That's the meaning of that. Final. Simple handling resource. Let's create an object from that. The resource. Perfect. Yeah, here we go. The handling resource is set to false. This is for Espresso, and we need to display a toast to let the user know the images are downloading. That's for this. Okay, so the toast to show, and we'll need to fill the array list with T objects, which we've done here, which is the T model, and we need to fill that in, and we need the handler to actually be run after the specified amount of time is set in delay milliseconds elapses. An object that implements the runnable interface creates a thread. So when this thread starts, the object run method is called. So this is actually done at the background, and we have that set up. And let's get to look at the menu activity. This is the launcher UI of this particular application, where we get to see the grid and so on. So I will actually be implementing. We need to implement the image downloader and calling the delay callback method. So let's have the structure of this class. First is the intent. Let's call it empty intent. Let's have another field called minus static string extra name. Now that's going to become the package name. T order extra T name. Now let's have the handling resource, which will be null in production. So we have at nullable, private, simple handling resource called M resource. That's fine. So that's only going to be called from the test. That's the Espresso test we want to do. So we're going to make the add visible for testing and also not null. let's have the method public dealing resource. So we call it get dealing resource method. So let's test for if equals to null. Share the new simplified, the simple idling resource, and we need to return a value. The idling results. That's fine. We have the onCreate method whereby we send the content view to the activity menu. That's fine. Let's call on the toolbar. Let's instantiate menu toolbar. Cast that to its class. So the widget, find view by ID. Menu toolbar. And set support action bar. That object, get support action bar. Let's set the title, and we're gonna call. Let's set that to the string. Now let's get string. String menu title. That's fine. Now we're going to pass in the idling resource instance right there. So let's pass that in. Called get idling resource. That's fine. And we need to call the onStart, the onDone, which will handle the array lists. We call the image downloader download image from onStart or onResume instead of the onCreate to ensure there is enough time to register the idling resource. If the download is done too early, because we are not actually downloading these images there from the drawable, so it might come much earlier. So we lock the idling resource in the onStart to actually make the image visible. Afterwards, we're going to call the thread is finished, and then it will return an array list of T objects. We have the callbacks undone, so that calls the undone to actually take up the grid view layout to set the layout, the adapter, which is the grid item layout, and set the adapter appropriately, and set an on item click listener on the view once, so that the grids can be clickable. So after you get the item at position of the grids, and called an intent to the order activity, to actually give room for customization. And during this period, we have a string of the T name being gotten, whereby you get the T name and the put extra. You're passing this through the intent as an extra, as a string to the class called order activity. Now we start the activity, and the activity will be launched. So this is the next activity to talk about, but we'll not tidy up the menu adapter where data binding is taking place. So we'll be going straight to the T menu adapter to actually create the grid recycler view data binding. That's when we talk about the get view, the view order, the converter, and so on. So now we're going to extend this extends the array adapter to generic T, and we're going to have some fields, private context, called M context. Let's have a private integer called layout, resource ID, and we're going to have an array list, private array list. Called data, it's shared with the new array list. Now let's have the menu adapter, that's a constructor, public, which takes the context, an integer of the layout resource ID, and the array list, data. Now we're going to call the super, pass the context, layout resource ID, data. Now let's initialize. For the context, and for the data. Now let's have the static class as a class called inside another class. That's why it's called the static view order. View order. I have the text view. Image title. The image view of the particular tea flavor. That's fine. We're going to override the get view method, whereby the image view, we're going to create the image view for each item referenced by the adapter. So let's override public. It's a view class under view, get view, and the parameters will be firstly the position of the grid, the view itself, let's call it convert view, and the last parameter will be the view group. As the parent of where it's coming from. So we get to have our view order set to null and get the item of the position of each grid. And if it's not recycled, we're going to initialize some attributes. That's what we actually did here. And we set the order, this data binding when it comes to binding to the grid is like the item itself of each grid. But we have the image title and the image which you set using the image resource based on the get image resource ID. So now at this present state of the application, we should be able to see the grid item of each tea flavors, so we'll be able to pick from there. And in the second part of this application, we're going to be extending more thereby creating the activity, which is for the order, and also the summary of each order. This is after the click of any flavor grid. That's when we get to undo that using the order activity and also forward it to the summary. So let's get to look at the emulator to see how these look. Let's see, probably we are right on track. And before we move further to the second part, so don't go anywhere. Well, let's launch at this point in time.